Hello, everyone. This is Jovonni Christian, your boy, the host, the man, the myth, the legend of the beginning of the never ending. In this chapter, we are archiving the story of Jonnie Bars. In his origin story as a Pomona-based artist, you will hear the journey of a man find his purpose. He faced challenges of growing up in a single-parent home, bullying, even interactions with the law, but ultimately becomes a multi-talented artist in dancing, rapping. He even tours frequently throughout California. So in this chapter, right, we have an art donation by me. Once again, don't you feel at peace? Yeah? Well, this was chosen by Mr. Bars himself. So, yeah. We like to ask our community to help get us to 500 subscribers. At the time of this video, we're at 161. And in the comments below, post what number subscriber you are so we can welcome you to the community. We also have a Discord channel. If you would like to join our community, please check out the description below. And if you are an artist and would like to, donate, some paintings, potentially be featured on the show, you can message our moderators on Discord as well. If you like our show and would just want to watch it live, we host it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please join our chat, get involved. You never know. You might be invited on the show. So thank you again for all the support. And without further ado, Mr. Jonnie Bars. Hello. What up? What's good, everybody? This is the beginning of the never ending. I'm really excited to have you guys on today. Happy Wednesday. And for those who don't know, this is the journey of archiving as many stories of people as possible. Our goal and focus here is to try to start from the beginning and hear the stories of people just like you and me, the people we walk by every day that add value to other people's lives. I'm really excited by our guest today. He's been a long friend, and we've lost touch for a minute, so I was really excited to kind of sit down and kind of interrogate him, have fun with it. So without further ado, welcome, Mr. Jonnie Bars.
Thank you. I appreciate the interrogation as well as being a part of this podcast. So yes, thank you very much.
Well, for the many who don't know, we always start from the very beginning, right? And so I'm really curious. I'm kind of this is kind of your origin story, right? So your ancestors, do you know much about your ethnicity, where you come from, or?
Well, I know that I'm half Jamaican. My mom and my mom's side, she was born in Jamaica. She actually moved to England when she was about 5 years old, and then lived there till she was 18. Moved to America, and she's been here ever since. My dad's side, I'm not too familiar with. Might be from here, like indigenous people type vibes, but I know my mom for sure is from Jamaica.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you know if it's from both parents' sides or?
No, I know it's
grandpa?
Not from. My whole mom's side of the family is I would say her siblings are from Jamaica. But they all moved to England and they were living there. My grandfather has been living there.
Still in England?
Yeah, still living up there.
Yo, that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got to meet him?
I've met him when I was a kid in elementary school. Him and his partner by the name of Scylla, they stayed with us for about a week. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
What do you know the type of personality that your grandfather is?
He's very chill. He's very just laid back, a nonchalant type of person. Just seems very peaceful.
Does he give you kind of that Jamaican kind of vibes? But he lives in England.
Yeah, it's more so of that culture now. Even with my mom, my mom doesn't is not out here speaking patois. If anything, she just has more of a proper accent from living in England and then moving out here. So,
did you meet your grandmother from your mom's side?
No, my grandmother and my mom didn't have the best relationship, and so they didn't speak much once she moved out here. In fact, like her moving, like her grandmother was part of my grandmother, her mom was part of the motivation of her like coming out to America.
Oh, for real? So,
Yeah.
so is grandma in England as well?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yo, that's different. I imagine coming from, so that's like two really distinct countries.
Yes.
Coming to a third country, like that's just her whole development. It's like must have been wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your grandfather, grandmother from your father's side. Do you know much about them?
My grandfather. No, my grandfather. My grandfather dresses really nice, to say the least. Like he goes to church, like all the time. But I don't know much about him. He looks like my father, who looks kind of like me. So like I see the genes are strong. I know that. And then like up until recently, because they didn't know about me a whole lot until Facebook. When I started rapping, like, you know, and they found out about that. So yeah.
So you don't have too much connection with your father's side?
No. If anything, the only connection that I would have is with my half sister. Her name is Isha. She's really dope. She's a video game streamer. She's doing really well for herself, and like I'm very happy for her. But yeah, she would be the only connection if there was one. Yeah.
And then just to clarify, did you ever meet your father? Do you have like a lot of do you kind of know his personality, his type of?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
His personality is he's very caring, and he's very passionate for those that he cares about, but that is also on the duality part of that. He can be very, I wouldn't say spiteful, but he can just have a very like be in his ego. And I know that because I have that sometimes within myself, and I know where that comes from.
One of the things I find, especially from a son's perspective, you can gain a lot from your kind of your father.
Yeah.
Whether it be in your blood, in your soul, something, even in close proximity.
Yeah.
Do you know what where you mentioned that don't know too specific about his culture, but do you know kind of what region he is from? Is he from out in California too, or?
No, I'd like to imagine that he was from here. He lives in Vegas now, I believe. So like it's not like he was like traveling all out and about. So I believe that he was from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your mom, what type of personality is she?
She is very like she's very humorous. Likes to play pranks. She always cares about her children, and will go the extra mile for that. She had worked the same job for almost 30 years.
Whoa.
And got to see her just get up every day and go to work and come back. And I even got to experience working with her, where we were working in Beverly Hills at a law firm. It's an hour and a half to get up there.
Sheesh.
And almost like 2 hours getting back. So on top of an 8-hour day. So like it took me a while to understand why she would get upset off of little things when she got home. The meat not being taken out of the fridge or the freezer, or the dishes not being done and certain things. And it's just like, I didn't know, when you're going through school, you're not understanding like, work in the adult life is a whole different beast.
Dynamic.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot. So
kids want to have fun.
Yeah, and do stuff. It's just like, and at that time I wasn't really into school like that. So I just wanted to be like out just doing kids stuff. It was just like, playing capture the flag or, we played 3 flags up actually with football and just like be out. So that was what I enjoyed doing more than anything at the time.
Do you know how kind of your parents met?
Not really. I forget. I do know that like they were together for quite some time. At least until I was in the first grade, so I had to have been like 7 or 8 years old. So I'm not too sure how long they were like together before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but most of your general life is like you and your mom.
Me, my mom, my two brothers, my older brother goes by the name of Ron, and then my younger brother, Jovon, and my sister, Rashida. So, like, we all lived in a house out in Walnut, where I grew up for part of, like, I guess, until I was in the third grade, second grade.
And what's the age differences between Ron, Jovon, and you said Rashida?
Yeah, so me and Rashida's like 12 years difference.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah. Me and my brother Ron are like probably like 15. And then me and my brother Jovon, who were born from the same father, it's like a year. Or 2 years.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you and how close were you guys, you and your brother?
Jovon, we didn't grow up close, even though like we were close due to the sense of we were both the same age. So we had the bunk beds. We stayed in the same rooms.
Yeah.
Like so, like we got on each other's nerves more than anything growing up.
Full
you know
stop.
I mean?
Yeah, I completely get it.
Yeah. So like it was a lot, but like it took us like being in like middle school and high school to kind of understand our connection, and we've been cool ever since. So. Yeah.
What type of how would you describe yourself as a kid?
Class clown-ish.
Oh, okay.
A lot of this stuff kind of stemmed from well, in elementary school, you know, it was different because we're all kids. We all want to have fun and just do different things. It wasn't until I got to the 6th grade that I started realizing that it was hard to be accepted or want to make friends when you're just like when things are different about you. When you have a proper way of speaking than other people do who look like you, so it becomes like it became a cultural thing that people get misconstrued because of how I talk or how I acted with certain things or the music that I was listening to. Even though I listened to everything, I was listening to, you know, Jay-Z the same way I was listening to Gwen Stefani, the same way I was listening to Korn at that time, or just whatever was on TRL. You know what I mean? So, like, it was just, but you were viewed different because of that. So, like.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up, I was born in Walnut. I lived in Diamond Bar for a few years, but I grew up in Pomona.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of most of your childhood is around that type of culture.
Yeah.
The Pomona culture.
Yeah, very much. From the 6th grade on, everything's been Pomona. So
you mentioned that like some of the things in your childhood that you spent a lot of time doing was like football.
Yeah.
You also kind of hanging out with friends. This is a very different time for some of you guys don't know, but we would actually be outside. I know it sounds crazy.
Yes, like bro, doing stuff.
Wild, but
yeah.
Yeah. So like, till the streetlights came on, or what? Did you have like close friends?
Yeah, we all lived together. There was people that I thought were close friends at the time. We all lived together. We were just doing random wild stuff. And then my brother, because we were the same age, we just all hung around the same like kids. You know what I mean? Especially around like the 6th grade, going into middle school and high school.
Oh, yo, yeah. Say less.
Yeah.
Any key friends during that time?
Not during my childhood. More so like high school.
Okay. So high school was when you kind of found the kind of like the main group of friends.
I found a group of friends that accepted me for who I was, and so like, but see, at the time, because I didn't feel like I was being accepted by my culture. I was adapting into a different culture with friends who I played basketball with, like at the park in Diamond Bar, and it's called Pantera. We would go and play basketball and just hang out. And so my best friend, Matt, who I still talk to this day, I met him I knew about him in junior high, but we became friends in high school. And then my other friend, Donnie, and RJ, we would all hang out and go play at Pantera Park and just hang out and just do stuff together. So this is before I was rapping, just from high school to early 20s, mid 20s, just I was hanging out with them.
That was your tribe in a sense.
Yeah, at that time, yes.
You also kind of explained a little bit of this acceptance that you're not able to kind of gain from the people around you.
Yeah.
What do you kind of feel about that kind of specific space? What was the children's societal norm that they were trying to get you a part of versus who you were becoming on your own in your own ecosystem? What was the difference?
Well, I mean, high school is just a phase you find out afterwards. But at the time with school and everything, if you weren't varsity into something, or if you weren't...
And this is as early as 6th grade? Or...
Oh, yeah. Well, even with 6th grade, if you weren't good at a certain sport, even going into middle school, if you weren't good at playing basketball or football or any of that stuff, going into that, then most likely you weren't doing that in middle school and high school. So even with track, I used to run track in elementary school. My brother Ron used to work at Mount Sac. So he wanted me to do track. He wanted me to do track. My mom ran track, I found out.
Yo.
So yeah, I think she ran.
Jeans.
Yeah, she ran a 200 meter. So I was just they wanted me to do track, but I was slacking and I was caring too much about wanting to be a class clown and I wasn't caring about the school, because to me the school came with everything else, you know what I mean, which is the bullying or the not being accepted by your peers, or just the rejection that you get when your crush is not wanting to be any part of you know what I mean, so certain things were just it came with that, so it just led me to not caring about school at all. You know what I mean?
But one of the things I find is so interesting is that you seem so well-rounded. You're doing basketball, you have football, you hang out with friends, right? You got some comedian in you, you know. I
wasn't doing varsity. It wasn't that stuff. I was hanging out and I was doing that for fun. But when it came to being on the teams, I was not. I played JV basketball. I wasn't out here, you know what I mean, doing that. It took me getting out of high school to kind of just be more of myself and feel like that without
Oh, so you felt you were just always trying to keep up with the Joneses as you were going through school.
I just felt like a outsider, yeah, just an outsider that was just there was no way in at the time, and so it was just kind of whatever. You know, but at the same time, it was good experiences too. My prom was lit. I didn't go with anybody, but I ended up having somebody's date to dance with for half the night, and that was dope. You know what I mean? Even with the basketball team, hanging out with them when I was a junior, and seeing the varsity basketball team, and just being able to hang out with them and play with them during the summer. And them seeing I didn't have a whole lot of game, but I knew something. I was able to jump, you know what I mean? I can get a rebound, I can make the right pass. I was playing good defense, so they got to see that amongst everything else. So there were some good spots in it too. It wasn't all just dark and depressing, you know?
No, I definitely don't want to.
Oh, but no. But I mean
no, but yeah. I'm curious here though.
Yeah.
Because you're mentioning that you able to find who you were, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just maybe if you can kind of paint the picture of not that what you were kind of at school,
yeah,
but at home, what were you really into? What type of things did you like to do? Even hanging out with friends, but things that that you felt made you unique. Do you understand?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So outside of the music, so when I was at home, we would watch a lot of sports. Because we were all living in one spot. So me, my brothers, We were into football. We would watch football, but then we would also play video games a lot.
Okay.
So, my brother, Ron, at the time, when I'm in high school, he brings in this other person who got kicked out of his house because he got into an argument with his mom. He didn't have the best relationship with them. His name is Alfred, and he got invited into our family. So ever since then, he became a brother of ours, and so he lived at the house. So when he lived at the house, and like him and Ron were having, you know, they had a great time. So like it was a whole lot of fun because it was just like we just get to play, you know, video games. He had a Super Nintendo, so we play like, you know, Tecmo basketball. We had seasons together. We kept stats, and just like we play wrestling. We had these fake belts that we kept with us, and we play like WrestleMania.
Love it.
You know what I mean? So like we were just having a good time, and like that's what I enjoyed about being at the house. And like, yeah, we got in trouble and we all did stupid stuff to each other, but like that was like the most fun as far as like all of us being in one house and being able to do the same things or being able to watch sports together. You know, everybody except for Ron is a Laker fan. So like being able to, you know, watch the finals together and have a good time and just like, you know, go to the parade, you know, like just little things. Like that's what I enjoyed most about like my teens going into, you know, now.
You know, you kind of also have these you said these key players in your life, especially your family.
Yeah.
It seems like immediate family.
Yeah.
Was there any like cousins that you hung out with, or was it mostly just kind of you, your brothers, your sister?
Yeah.
Was it kind of just that dynamic?
I didn't hang out with my cousins a whole lot. I did find out that a cousin of mine named Ashley, I found out we were cousins like in high school, and so and then like we lived around the same area.
Oh wow.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, like we didn't really hang out. If anything, it was just more so my immediate family. Like
sure.
Like even when I was going through my own situations and just like not just struggling to find myself, I remember my sister, who's very just like, she's very caring, she's very just like you know, thoughtful. She's very thoughtful and she's very creative. She used to sing in high school.
Oh.
Yeah, like talent show, Destiny's Child, like, you know what I mean? Like the whole thing. So yeah, she was a singer, or at least I thought that she sounded good singing. She was really dope. But what she would do was she had left Post-it notes in my room one time, just a bunch of Post-it notes all over my room, just like of affirmations and just like different, just like pick me up messages and stuff. And so like I never forgot that. I left it in my room for like as long as possible, you know what I mean? And it was just as like that's why I enjoy being around my family, you know what I mean? So like it was just like it took me away from everything.
What age were you then?
At the time I believe I was like 15, 16 or so.
And so she kind of saw the pressure of the kind of trying to be accepted, right?
Yeah, and just like, yeah, just also just the personal things that like I was dealing with at the time. It was a lot of just like family situations where things slowly started to like just become like we need to get out and live on, like we need to venture out, or they need to venture out. Like from my older brothers to my sister, like they all couldn't stay together. You know what I mean?
Oh, so okay. So then, what was your outlet? What was kind of like you felt like you were able to really just be you, you know?
Well, let's just listening to music, honestly, because like, it was just a way for me to be able to release, listening to music at the time. I was writing on and off, whenever I felt inspired to, but it was never anything that like I felt serious about pursuing. But yeah, music was something that really helped throughout that time, because then I was old enough to get CDs, so I was just collecting a bunch of like, Little Brother CDs.
Whoa.
Erykah Badu, The Roots, like just different, you know what I mean, like
Right.
hip hop CDs, because my brothers, they let me borrow them, but then I was stealing them too. So after a while, they're just like, not trusting me with anything, which I understand. But yeah, so
There was something about music that was really helpful
yes.
about your journey. You mentioned like listening to music early.
Mm-hmm.
Like this has like been a passion of yours for a cool minute, kind of going even from your early years into your like middle school and high school time.
Mm-hmm.
You also mentioned that one of the things that you did really well was you had a really good song palette. Did that come from like your mom? Did it come from you mentioned your sister would sing? Where did that kind of the palette of like listening to different things? Was it from friends?
It was my sister and my brothers, Alfred and Ron. They when I was, it was cool because like when I was a kid, I remember like always being into hip hop. One of the first songs that got me into it was "If I Ruled the World" with Lauryn Hill and Nas. So like, and then also Biggie and 112, "Only You."
Yeah,
That used to be my song. So yeah, like just growing up and always being into it. But then my mom was really conservative. She doesn't like cursing. We always listened to the radio. But my brothers, they always had the explicit, you know what I mean, CDs. So like getting to listen to that in the car with them, and then eventually like getting my own like stereo speaker that I could be able to take with me, and then like CD player at the time, and just listening to just different music. It was perfect. It was like nobody can tell me anything because it's just like I was able to listen to what I wanted to.
Music was almost freedom for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Well, you also mentioned that your brothers would help kind of with that dynamic as well. You said Jovon, right? Did I get his name right?
Yeah.
Were you guys able to connect on music as well? You come from the same age. I'm curious if that's like a dynamic that you guys can share.
No, we actually did not. Even now, like right now, like none of us listen to the same music. Like at all. Like not at all. Not at all. Like it's crazy. Like we all liked listening to different things. My brother Jovon, we did kind of like listening to the same things, but then the more we got into LimeWire, right at the time when I was popping.
Yo.
So when we had LimeWire, we were all just downloading our own thing and just listening to different music, and so that's where it started becoming more like just different as far as what we all listened to. Once we started being able to collect our own music.
You're going down this kind of music journey. You also mentioned that like you would do some writing as well. Yeah. Did you ever get really explore that? I know your mother wasn't too excited about the kind of the world.
No, but I wasn't at the time. But one thing that I did find out through Facebook was that my father used to rap.
Yo.
And then my uncle, also his brother, was like a producer, engineer, or whatever, and they on his side had their little rap group, or not little, because at the time it meant a lot to them. So they had their rap group. They were doing their thing. Of course, they had some differences between like siblings, as most families would. But then so I found out this whole time. I was like, yo, this makes plenty of sense, like why I'm into music and why I was writing a lot to like what was inspiring me, like Jay-Z at the time, and just different things, but it wasn't anything that I thought like, oh, I can see myself doing this, because at the time me and my father didn't have the best relationship, and I didn't know that he was doing any of that, so like it never dawned on me to be like, oh yeah, you should do rap more.
Oh Facebook didn't come out much later. Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
You you also kind of explained as you were going through, and I'm trying to just kind of play the catch up here world. Your kind of relationship, whether it be with love or that kind of dynamic, you know. Did you ever get to explore that? I know one of the things that's really cool about writing is a lot of rappers start off with a lot of rappers start off with
that came out of nowhere.
It did. It was like, what is that? It's like I don't know, it's like a what do you call, like a dragon coming to my face or something like that? Anyway, so one of the things I'm really curious about is that writing.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that a lot of people start off with is poems.
Yes.
You know, poetry, because rhythm and poetry.
Yeah,
you can have that sense. Like kind of especially love in that aspect. But was it more of you just trying to imitate the art, or were you trying to imitate your life when you were writing?
Imitating the art for sure. I was definitely just into just writing raps and wanting things to just like sounding hard based off of what I was listening to. It didn't become until I started diving into rapping is where like started being more intentional about what I was writing about, whether it was poems or songs about love. But no, I was always, that's why Jonnie Bars, that's why Jonnie Bars exists, because it was always about the raps, you know what I mean? So it slowly started becoming more into like once I started getting into rapping, it became more of like me telling like my story and a part of who I am, and like, you know what I mean, having it become a part of me as opposed to like me just like doing this for a trend or doing this because like you wanted to do things more because it felt right and sounded right at some point. Was that when you decided your name Jonnie Bars, or was it much earlier than that? It was at that time. This is fast forward, like I'm in my mid-20s now.
Oh, so that's when you so this was really well down the path.
Yes.
Before you got into this world.
Yes.
So so then before we get there.
Yes.
You're going from middle school up until high school. You also mentioned that kind of like you transitioned to Pomona around 6th grade, so now you're in a whole different friend group community.
Yes.
Right? You have your homies that you hanged out with, right? Donnie, you have Matt.
Yeah.
I think you said Ryan, who was it?
RJ,
excuse me.
Yeah, there was Donnie's brother, it was Ryan too, so that's good.
Get excited.
He has a brother,
that was fate right there. I pulled that out. I pulled that out of the soul here, okay? And I'm one of the things that it's the battles, it's the rap, it's the kind of sitting at the basketball court, you're playing with your friends, and being able to kind of really experiment. What did you guys get? Was it just really kind of the sports aspect was bringing you guys closer, or was it more of like other things that brought you? Was it girls? Was it like what was kind of?
It was definitely other things. There was sports. Well, basketball was one thing because like we all were Laker fans. We all love Kobe, but we also like would party a lot. And that's where, so that's where, like, from, like, my teens, like, going out of high school into, like, mid-20s, where it was just, like, I was constantly hanging out with them. We were going out to Vegas. You know what I mean? Like...
Oh, you're living your best life.
You're just getting lit. Like, it was, and we worked together at the same time. So like,
wait, all three of you guys?
All three of us.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, we worked together.
Hey, so boss, let's begin to take the day off, okay? Just wait.
Let me go ahead.
It's like all three of you.
Like, wait. Please. Like, and it was cool because
that's dope. Like
we would fill in for each other. So it was just like if somebody was hungover from the night before, and I knew that because I was dropping that person off, then I had to make sure to bring my best work. You know what I mean? So like, but no, it was a great experience because like, they ended up becoming close friends. We all had experiences with like relationships. I wasn't in a relationship, so they would come to me and talk to me about their relationship.
You're like the modern day counselor over here.
You know what I mean? So like just in
Dr. Phil here.
Always. So it was crazy. It was a lot of fun because
you guys kind of grew up together. Yeah. In a different sense, but yeah
absolutely. Sure. So
what can you describe their personalities?
Donnie, I don't know him now because it's been a minute. But
sometimes sometimes you be like interacting with people, and it's like it's time moves so fast, you know.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like he used to be the party goer. He was the one that I would go to the parties with and turn up when we were clubbing. But he was also just like he's a very like like he's very loyal.
Mm.
As far as like, you know, his friends are just like the people that he does care about. He's very loyal. He's whenever we play basketball, he would always be the one getting injured. You know what I mean? So like, unless it was for like an outlet pass to get like a free bucket, but he was always getting hurt. But then he would also be the one getting the girls too, low key. Him and Matt was really up until when he met Age, his now wife, who I was there when they first met.
That's wild.
So yeah, like he was also a party goer. He was kind of like the leader of the group. Just very like, he was very when he wanted to focus on things, he was very poised in that, and he did what he could to, like, you know, get to where he is right now. But like, he was also like, he's also funny. We also, you know, we love the same music. We love Kanye West. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a whole bunch of different things. So like, we had a lot of crazy experiences.
College Dropout was crazy.
It was like, yo. So, and we used to dress like that. Like it was crazy. So like, he was like always the cool guy out of the group. He ended up going to UCR and having a fraternity that he was in and a part of. And so we had the luxury sometimes of going to these kickbacks and these parties and experiencing UCR. He was very turned up when he was turned up. It was great. And so like,
he focused when he needed to focus.
When he was focused though, when he needed to do the damn thing, he would do it. Don't get me wrong, but like,
it's
turned
time.
up. Yes. So, and then RJ was more the laid back. RJ was more innocent. RJ was the one that was not turning up like us, but he would still go out with us and have a good time and do things. Like, he is more talented at basketball than he gives himself credit for. He's ambidextrous. He could shoot with his left hand and his right hand. Like, well, at least at the time he was. Like, that was crazy. But he was, and he's a lefty like me.
Hey.
Left-handed, so yeah. But no, he was very chill and laid back out of the group at that time. So
you guys had this like thing going on. And you also mentioned to us that kind of like going through high school, and you guys were kind of really together. You had your brothers, you had the interactions that you have like kind of at home.
Yeah.
You had them with the basketball course that you're able to kind of chill and do your thing with.
Yeah.
How was your kind of relationship with school and your teachers? Were you able to like kind of really feel like you understood, like kind of like I don't know, do you have a good relationship with your teachers or?
Not all of them. No. There's only a few teachers that really stuck with me. One of the main ones was actually my French teacher, because I took French, because Spanish and American Sign Language and Chinese was not available at the time.
They're always booked.
They always are.
I don't know what it is.
American Sign Language, I was shocked. I was like, come on, really? Like,
why do you have French?
Why? So yeah,
so
French.
many other languages we could have gone to before. I'm just kidding. Shouts to the French people.
French is dope. French is dope. Shout out to France.
Pedro Jovonni.
So yeah, Mr. Fritz was my senior French teacher in high school. He is a very pivotal person in my life who at that time had instilled kind of a confidence in me, and made me realize that like I should be giving myself more credit for the knowledge that I had. As well as like and like the confidence within me. Like I was really lacking that, and he would help with that. And so he's the only teacher that I did almost cry for when I left my senior year.
So guidance was something that you really valued.
Yeah, like, and like, but also just like, not like in a school sense, like just from the outside perspective, you know what I mean? Just being able to treat people like human beings. Like, you know, you get a lot of fluff and different information in school, and you're not really sure what is what. but the people that stuck with me were the ones who were just like very straightforward, but they cared. You know what I mean? So like he was definitely one of those people who cared. He still connects with his students. So like, and I'm still in connection with him through social media. So like, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
There's some people in your life that you kind of get a feeling of warmth from.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there's some things that people can teach you that can't be taught in textbooks.
Yeah.
Right. That can be taught apparently with some some languages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Life lessons. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned confidence was something that you liked. What was some of the messages that he kind of gave you to help you rebuild your confidence and feel more confident about yourself?
It was just reminding me that, I was smarter than I gave myself credit for. He would, it was like Ocean's 11. So like Ocean's 11, you remember the guy, I forgot his name. But he spoke a different language and everybody understood him. So like he would do that with me sometimes. And I couldn't speak French, but I was understanding it. So he was helping me with understanding it and kind of giving me that confidence to kind of like just know. And he, I did not know French. I took 3 years of French. I learned 1 year through him because the first 2 years I had 2 different teachers who taught very differently. And he was the only one that was just kind of like, he really stuck with it. And so not only his messages, but like the things that he was doing for the classes, like he would have us for the end of the year, it was like the final exam, he had us make this like a shoebox with like different things in it that we valued, and we had to speak about it in French as well as speak about it in English. So he had helped me at the time with a high school crush that I had. I'm not gonna say her name, but I had this thing where
she who be not be named.
Yeah, she who probably won't watch this, but if she is, hello. Anyway, she was really cool at the time, and the reason why I was taking French class was because of her at the time.
Yo.
So yeah, like she's the reason why I stayed in French class. And he had helped me with the Valentine's Day idea.
Shout outs to the homie,
Yeah, so like Mr. Fritz was the man. Like that's how like dope he was. I had this idea from this movie called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. In the parade scene, one of the songs that they sing or that he lip sings is Dankeschön. I think it's Wayne Newton, right?
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah. So Dankeschön. So yeah, I came. He allowed me while he was teaching the class to play Dankeschön and let me lip sync that to my Valentine, who was my friend at the time, like dope friend. And then also her, because she was not my Valentine, but I had wanted to surprise her. So I got like these roses and I was lip singing, and like he just allowed me to do that. And it was like, that's one of the things that like high school was like, you know what I mean? Like high school was pretty lit. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's some moments. So him like doing that for me, that's one of the things I'll never forget. Like he was just like,
he gave you that platform.
Yeah.
And gave you the
to be me, you know what I mean? Yeah. So
the encouragement to, hey, do it. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
You only live once.
Yeah.
This is YOLO season. Right. That's super dope. So, yeah. Shout outs to Mr. Fritz.
Yes.
Trying to support love.
Yes.
That's the French way.
Yes. Really. And his wife, who he's still with right now, like he was just having his first child with her at the time, and now he has 2 kids who are like, teenagers. So like, yeah.
It's crazy how time flies, right?
Yes, and they're still in love. They're still together. So like, that's even crazier because you don't see that in today's day and age.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yo, that's dope.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm really curious about as well, you're getting out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a little bit of the future.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some fun.
Yeah.
But it's not like you have some friends who went to college, went to UCR. Did you feel like you kind of had direction of kind of where you wanted to do, where did you wanted to go, how you wanted to operate, like kind of like what the plan was, and how to achieve your plan?
No, because at that time I was so focused on wanting to turn up and party that I spent from like 19 till about like 24, 25 just turned up partying, having a good time.
What was the kind of the dedication to that? What was kind of what were you trying? What was that? What was the reason?
Oh, because that's what my friends were doing at the time. We were all going, like Matt was going to college. He went to UCR, but other than that, we were working together. I was working at the golf course at the time with them in Diamond Bar for about 10 years. So like, and they were working when I got there. So like we spent a majority of our time just always turned up and partying. It wasn't until they got in relationships where things just kind of took a turn to like, oh, okay, well, we can't be working for this amount. We got to be doing something better and like everything else. And I stayed up until like, I don't know, maybe like I stayed for 10 years and then I left. And then it was just like, so yeah, like that was my thing. I was just turned up and I was always wanting to like hang out with them, and it took a lot of my 20s away because I didn't start drinking until I was like 21. But then I got like wet and reckless, you know what I mean, by the age of like 23. I ended up having a DUI by the age of like 24 and then a driving without a suspended license. So like a lot of like part of my 20s was without having a driver's license and like having to pay for like AA meetings and having to pay for like getting being in house arrest and just like paying court fees. So like a lot of my like time was trying to like clean that up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So it was that's why there was no sense of direction or no. I was too busy trying to go back to like amend the mistakes that I was making. You know what I mean? So
you are. One of the things I feel like, especially with music, right? There's two sides of it.
Yeah.
One side is that you're able to kind of be able to actually have, music sets you free, sometimes too free.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And there's a certain attraction to music, right? You get attracted to these things. Because it's something that reminds you of like this, again, this kind of that childhood type of, especially your childhood, right?
Yeah.
It's the one thing that you were able to do that felt like you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you know, obviously there was no. I mean, obviously you mentioned you hung out with your friends for other reasons as well.
Right.
But one of the things that you felt like was a really big thing for you was the music.
Yes.
Was creating.
Yes.
Was still trying to network and be around people.
Yeah.
It felt like connection was one of the things you were really fighting for.
Yeah.
And connecting kind of with the wrong people kind of brought you in weird ways.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious on kind of like that music over those 10 years, you know.
Yeah.
Whether it be working on that craft, because that still was a craft. It was something you were working on. You mentioned you started writing then.
Yeah. But the music, the connection actually came from I was into dance. I used to love to dance before anything. So like when we were going out, you know, the freedom came from dancing, and that was therapy for me. And I used to watch, you know, America's Best Dance Crew, of course. You got Copper Modern.
Yo.
You know, you have my favorite dancer was Tony Tran. I used to love Lando Wilkins. R.I.P. Twitch. Twitch. I actually got to dance with him, like in a cypher at a club of all places. It was crazy, like meeting him, and like my sister was there, my brother was there. This is when they were trying to get me into like going out, but being more like grown about it, not just dressing up in like whatever, but like actually having a dress shirt, having a vest, having a tie, and like, you know, looking nice. So they got me at into this place called J Lounge, and J Lounge used to be this bomb like bar that had like a rooftop view and all this other stuff, and it was crazy inside. 2 different dance floors or whatever. One kind of smaller with like a bar, and because they didn't know that I could dance like that. Like, so when they first brought me over, you know, we're all having drinks and having a good time, and then I just see people dancing, and so I just would dance with them, and they're just like, yo, like, you could dance. Like, I didn't know any of this. And so like one of the nights, Twitch, I ran into him, and at the time he had a crush on my sister.
Yo.
Or I think my sister had a crush on him. It was one of the two. But like we ended up all like hanging out together and like dancing, and like it was so crazy. Like it was very surreal. And I got to tell him I was a huge fan and like of him and Lando and what they were doing at the time, and like yeah, like that was really crazy. So
you and who would have thought?
Yeah.
And this is just a side note, like kind of the demons he was fighting as well during his life, you know?
Yeah.
And
the freedom that he felt. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, so true
so,
there.
yeah.
There's something that connects people that I imagine he, you know, being able to kind of chasing after something, a dream of being able to kind of I don't want to say escape. I hate that term, but in a sense, you know, be able to kind of just like
release.
Yeah, that's a really, really good way to explain it.
Yeah.
To kind of release that kind of tension that you kind of build up.
Yeah.
But it was awesome to kind of see that you still had your family always there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys reconnected and had these moments with each other as well.
Yeah.
How was your kind of relationship with like, whether it be your mom or your brother, your sisters, like how's that kind of family dynamic is going through these 10 years? It seems like there was obviously turmoil from your end, but it also seems as well as that like you were able to show your art, you know, and you know, and that was something that was like seems like it was also being respected.
Yes, when I was dancing at the time, it got my respect, but it was also really cool because it got them to see a different part of me that like to be free and hang out. But then it also built a stronger relationship, I guess, between me and Alfred, as well as me and my sister, because, you know, we were the 3 amigos at that time. So it was just like we would go out and we would have a good time and we would do our thing. But then, like, also, like, you know, me and Ron connected a lot on just like basketball and just watching football all the time, and just like, you know, so like throughout the 10 years we were I was still kind of living like with my family for a while, to where we were still kind of having a connection, and even when they kind of like ventured out, like we would still go out or hang out at the time because they lived close, so it wasn't like we had to do too much. My brothers Ron and Alfred actually lived together at one point, so it was cool, like, you know, getting to see them and hang out with them every once in a while.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. What about your mom?
So, my mom. So my mom is the real MVP because she was there with me throughout a lot of like the struggle of like not having a license, needing to like get to certain places like work or like whatever, and being able to like just really support. Like it takes a lot for her to deal with the things that she had to deal with at that time, because, you know, my little brother was also going through a lot of different things, to where he ended up getting into certain situations, and then, you know, my older brother Ron had his situation, his problems, you know. Rashida, she had her problems at the time, so like everybody was just going through it, and me kind of having to like go through like the DUI situation and not having a license, like it took away from I felt like it took away from what people had to do, because now it's like another responsibility of having to like make sure that I was okay. So yeah, like my mom had to deal with the brunt of that, which is why like I really just love and appreciate her and do what I can for her now, because like she deserves more than what I'm giving. You know what I mean? Even though I'm giving everything, she deserves a lot more than that.
You know, it's there's a perspective that you have when you're young, but there's this wisdom as you gain as you get older. You start realizing life differently.
Yeah.
You possibly at all any kind of like guidance or help from him or any connection that you're able to kind of build there? Or with
No.
Okay.
At the time, I had stopped speaking. I remember we grew up together, but then once he left, I was just seeing him periodically up until like maybe around like middle school, and then I didn't see him at all. So, and then by that time, it's like I have this, bond with my family, and he had his bond with his family.
Right.
So, that was the last thing on my mind, was trying to rekindle anything with my dad. And then especially finding out that he had his own addiction and his own problems, and like coming to the realization of like, even though I'm not trying to establish any type of bond with him at that time, I understood where like a lot of those demons and certain things came from.
I think listening to kind of where you're at here, there's a lot that's happening within your kind of internal family. What y'all split? You're still going to work. You're still making things happen. I know we were touching on this, but I wanted to see if we can kind of elaborate a little bit more. When did the dance transition into the music and creating and that experience?
Yeah. So,
because sorry, there's something that people say, like, roses sometimes are born out of concrete, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can have some things can just grow out of where it's these beautiful, crazy, amazing things out of these really tough and, tough situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious kind of how that transition to that dance to music kind of happened.
So, the dance kind of went to a festival called Paid Dues.
Hey.
That I wanted to go to, and my friends, my homies now, my current homies, who I met there, who I knew about in high school, but like officially like named by the name of Rivera and Kieran. They used to be in a rap group called The Era. And then my homie who I used to work with, his name was Dominic. We also went to high school together. So like we had worked together, and so he had invited me with his friends to go out, and they didn't know how I partied, and I didn't know how they partied. So like, I got turned up, and I'm normally the type of person that like, I turn up, I go venture out. I'm meeting new people. How you doing? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm drunk, I'm going to get you a drink. I don't know why. It's just like, I'm a very friendly, like, you know what I mean? Like, outgoing person. So
everybody
like,
got to have a good time.
You know what I mean? So like, so I was doing that when upon meeting them. And then I had a friend who also, she met me up there, but then because I was doing my own thing, it was just kind of like whatever. So I got to see, my favorite performances was Sugar Free, Juicy J, yeah, and then Black Hippie. Black Hippie performed with Absol, Schoolboy Q, J Rock, and Kendrick. So that was lit. So I had a great time, and I just remember like the crowds just being so turned up, but then also just being really inspired by Kieran and Rivera, because they were doing their own thing and they sounded really good, and I liked the music that they were making at the time. So upon listening to them, and then just also like I was more so into the music to the point where I was watching less dance and more Def Poetry jam. You know what I mean? With like Mos Def, and like being able to listen to people like Shihan and Saul Williams, and even seeing Floor Tree up there, like there were so many different people that inspired me to want to write. And so what I was doing was downloading instrumentals to, you know, just write to more. And then we used to have this thing called the Dope Spot Open Mics. And this used to be in Pomona every first and third, or I don't know if it's every second and fourth or every first and third Mondays. And so poets, comedians, like different people would just come down here and
pre-COVID life, guys.
Yeah,
pre-COVID
like,
life, man.
yo, this was great.
It was a great time.
It was great to just be able to have a space with a bunch of different other creatives or people who created in just different ways. And so that's why I call it the planet, because there's so many different new things and people and experiences in Pomona that you find out there. So like, and people. So like, that inspired me to want to write raps. I had transitioned from my dance friends into my rap homies and my artist friends. And then one day I was like, yo, I'm just going to write a rap. I'm going to write a song. And the producer that I met, who's my homie now, his name is L7. He used to live up there. The Dope Spot was a housing residence as well as like a creative spot. So like, you know, you can, they had a studio that they built out, and it became like what it is now. But it started off as like this room with like, just like this, with like a bunch of people just sitting here chilling and like performances. So he had gave me a beat to rap to, and I wrote to it. And I remember Matt came down and Age came down. I'll never forget that. They got to see my first time performing. I was shaky, but it was just something that I enjoyed doing. And so like performing, because like dancing is a part of performing. So
Sure,
it's just
for
like,
sure.
you know, performing is just something that I was just like, yo, like I really enjoy doing this.
Was it the challenge side, or
the what?
was it the challenge that you?
No, it was just more so the love of the art at that point. You know, it was just more so like, hey, I really enjoy doing this. And I love it being able to express myself through raps. And so like and also I was watching a lot of battle rap too. So battle rap had got me inspired to want to write. You know what I mean? Shout out to Charlie Clips and shouts out to DNA and, you know, Passwords at the time. Like there was just a lot of different battle rappers who I was watching. So like it encouraged me to rap even more. Like I started surrounding myself with like more so the hip hop and underground. That's what encouraged me to like rap and just I stopped dancing completely. I don't dance anymore now. So like it just completely took over. So
and was that on the tail end of or was that when was that kind of era transition?
That was the tail end of my 10-year working. Like probably the last 5 years of me working at the golf course, and then me trying to get my license and everything back. And yeah, I ended up meeting like them, and then also JMKM, who is a producer engineer that I work with now. Like met him at that same time. He was the one that was giving us direction and trying to help us have a better just understanding from the business standpoint of like how music works and what you need and how to be able to be an independent artist. He was giving us the gems that people are looking at right now and doing right now. Really dope, might I add. But like he was giving us that at that time. So that was like 2016. You know,
it's interesting how you have the world of two sides. You have this side where you first start, where like you have this kind of lack of confidence, and then you have Mr. Fritz.
Yeah,
he comes by. He's, you know, you kind of get that confirmation, like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
and you jump on stage and you do. Hey, look, I made this box. I got these flowers. You do your performance. You have this other side as well. Like you go to the stage, like you're into music and dancing, and this is all dynamic, and and then you meet Twitch, and then you kind of have this like performance, and then like you're like, okay, cool, you get that edification, like awesome,
it's great,
and then you meet your producer friend. I'm sorry, his name one more time.
Jam Cam,
and him kind of getting you educated what's going on, and even jumping on stage and your homies come out. It's always this kind of like the universe is kind of, when you putting the right people changes the people you act and how you. I mean, it seems like your life is now transitioning to something different. Like, okay, it's about business now. Now the goal is about, you have a future in a way. Something to look forward to.
A sense of direction. So like they helped me with that, and I owe them a lot for that too, because it had came full circle to me, and even like finding out about my dad and him rapping, like everything came full circle. Like, yo, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? So like that's what made it like, it made it that much more reassuring, like being able to work with these people and having ideas and like being more confident about how I wanted to express myself and like who I'm becoming. You know what I mean? So like it was dope. Like it was definitely life changing, and it helped me become a better, not only a better person, but just like a better like, just like a better leader. Like when I was working at the golf course the last 5 years, I was, because you know everybody had left, I was the one that was left as the captain, as the one who had to set up the schedules and do all that stuff. And like, from a person that like struggle with confidence, having to ask to be a leader, you know, as you're becoming, like it was overwhelming, especially when you're still trying to figure yourself out, you know what I mean, like just with your life, and like having to remove yourself from addictions or just certain things that you were so used to doing and just like using as a coping mechanism. Like it changed. So like being like, it led all this to now to like having me understand like, yo, there's certain things that you have to be able to lead by example. You have to be able to be that example. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're not leading, you can influence a whole bunch of things that can get to addiction, that can get to like depression, or just having people around you who are not doing anything with themselves. Like, you know, getting back to that. Like, I don't know. It's like you don't want to relapse. You know what I mean? After like having everything build and
all this progress that you're making.
Yeah,
you don't want to see it go just because of a mistake. One of the things is really important who you surround yourself with. It seems like you found a whole different dynamic of people to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
It felt like a lot of the interactions you've had was all to escape, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to like put words in your mouth, but you talk about how your brothers, you hang out with them, and they're just like, look, let's just like play games and like, you know, let's have fun. Okay, we didn't do the dishes, Mom, but look, it's not that bad. It's not that big
we
deal, right? You know, and then you kind of have the homies who like play basketball, you know, but you're like, I'm in JV, we're doing our things, like, right? But you actually had someone, you know, push you to strive for more, you know,
challenging me.
Really trying to say, hey, look, there's more to this than you can think. You can actually do it. You can actually become something. If you put your mind to it. It's really cool. I mean, it literally brought you here today. It's really interesting. It's interesting, like, dynamic, the personality that you have in terms of the creativity and friendships that you built, and being able to interact with so many individuals. You probably built up so many connections. And now that you're still in the world of art, you know, still creating, be able to create things for others. And if you could find a way to now use that as a career, monetize things, that changes the direction of your whole world. That's super cool. I really like that. I guess the kind of the final question I have here is that, you know, from then at kind of the tail end to that 10 years, up until now, you know, you have been that kind of showcasing yourself as an artist, starting performing on stages and really going, building and mastering this craft. How do you kind of feel as if like that journey has been for you? And who are some of the key players and key moments of your life in the most recent years from that?
Oh, well, definitely Jam Cam, and still Key. He's still a huge part. Rivera is I don't have that much of a connection with him, but like, you know, we would still be down to work or do anything. And like if he has ciphers and stuff that he runs, and like if I'm not doing anything, then I need to pull up to a cipher and like, you know, be a part of that, because he's still a pivotal part in like, you know, not only like the creativity through I feel like Pomona, you know, like he still can be able to do that and be a community piece. So like, you know, they're still players, still key players, even though they're not as consistent in my life. I still consider them key. You know, Noah James is the reason why I got into shows and performing. I remember going to Los Globos. Los Globos, oh my goodness.
It's a mission too.
That's a whole nother story. But yeah, so Los Globos, I went to see him because somebody, Phantom Threat. Shouts out to Phantom Threat. Phantom Threat, I was asking him about how to get on shows and who to ask. And he let me know, you know, Bearcap Sundays is one of them and Noah James is another. So I went to Noah James. Noah James was giving me game on like, you know, what you need to do, how you know, like who to connect with and where to get on. Whole time he's running the vibe in the Riverside. That's like a whole like underground like hip hop R&B, got producers, got DJs, you got a posse patio outside. He's doing his thing. He's establishing his own empire at that time.
Huge.
You know what I mean? So like he got me on. He's a key player. He's the reason why I am loyal to Brick to Your Face and everything. Him and Lisa, like they got me on my first festival in Pomona. You know what I mean? Like at the Glass House. Like, you know, there's just like there's certain things that like I remain loyal to, as to like, you know, even Jam Cam helping me with the rollout for the American Dream, my first project, like full length project of just like having out, helping me with videos for that, helping me get a music video, like, you know, still helping me to this day with like my sound and just like performances and just like, you know, just making sure to check me when I need to be, like him and Key. You know, L7 is still a major player too, because I found that, you know, I work with many different producers and people, but I can tell my story best through his music and like working with him. Even though we haven't been working a whole lot together, like we can can create some dope music, like, you know what I mean, like that. So like
that's dope.
So yeah, the people that I've connected with on the tail end of my 10 years are still people that I'm in connection with now. Ali, Callie Ali, who I used to be with, she was there through a lot of my struggles in the music. And that's why we're best friends now, even though we haven't been together for like 5 years, 6 years. We still had the connection through music. We still feel the same way about music. So like in that freedom and that release. So like she's a major player and everything I have going on too, because when I was down and not knowing what to do with the music and not knowing where to go, she was there to encourage me, and it's the same thing with like her and what she was going through with like doing interviews and at the time and even like DJing. So like it's a lot of different things and different people.
Can I ask this actually is the final question of this thing. Going from a kid, right? You're starting off, right? You have this like huge. You have this two sides, these two worlds. You know, this kind of Jamaican, you know, England type of like way you operate in your mentality from your mother, and how hard she worked for 30 years. You know, and seeing her, you know, almost in a way had to make a sacrifice of
Yep.
like being able to be there and present for her kids,
Yep.
but to make sure that things were provided for and food on the table for 4 people.
Yeah.
That's a big task, and
Yeah.
you're now trying to figure out more about yourself, and you don't have a lot of mentorship, but you do have your older brothers, you have your older sister, you have your younger brother that you get able to connect with him once in a while. You're going through this story, you're going through this life. You're not too sure why the people around you, in terms of your school friends, don't accept you, right? But you will always have this kind of like perseverance, like hey, it's all good, I'm not going to give up, I'm going to continue pushing forward, I'm going to continue getting to the next level. You get to even to this point where like you go into like 6th grade, and you like, what, let's swap up. You go from like your old friends to this Pomona, where like this is now where you don't know, but this Pomona, how much of a change this city is about to do to your life, who you are. It's like almost like a motherland of raising you in a way.
Absolutely.
From whether it be like going from being in basketball, hanging out with the friends on the park, and whether it be like even as you're going into high school and out of high school, and traveling and seeing different areas, like she's always calling you back. Like, look, there's always some things. The Glass House got you. Even these cool music, whether it be dancing and even experiencing some of the hardest parts of your life. Being a kid and catching a DUI, or even being a kid and just like, and you're a kid, you're still trying to understand more about your life and who you are and what you're trying to you get through. And you still had a support system that helped you through it, and you're not giving up. It's like, cool, but there's adjustments I'm gonna need to make. You mentioned you beat an addiction. You're like, look, I got this. Like, you start really putting yourself on a different level. You gain the confidence. You even go on stage and perform with other people, and use like your first time at the dope spot. Like, this is a really cool dynamic that you're building for yourself. Kind of now looking back at your entire life and everything that you've done, and kind of seeing that, from then until now, do you have like any regrets about that? Whether it be through love, your love life, whether it be through your art, whether it be through anything in general, like, how do you kind of feel about your journey and where you are and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I do, I mean, at this time, no, I don't regret anything, because everything was purposeful in the leading to what I am doing now. Me being a kid, and being rebellious led me to having certain friends that I like to hang out with and want to be rebellious with. And that led me to getting in trouble for being rebellious and doing all that stuff. But that redirected my focus into, like, what do you want to do? And so when it came down to it, I thought it was going to be dance, but then it inspired me to even be better with music now, because it's just like, hidden cadences or just doing certain things. So all of it is purposeful. I used to regret certain things, but like looking at everything now, I feel like it all served its purpose, and it's the reason why I continue to persevere or continue to want to go. So it's like Made in America, or not Made in America, How to Make It in America.
How to Make It there.
How to Make It in America. They always ended it with like a positive note. And ever since like watching that in high school, that's how I saw my life. Like, no matter what, the chips are going to be down. You're going to have things that are going to go on. It's going to weigh down on you, but it's, at the end of the day, it's always going to be all right.
That pursuit of happiness, yeah. And the next question I have is, you're a young guy, okay? And I don't know how you feel about like kind of kids or ancestry and all that.
Yeah.
How, if you got to be able to tell your kids, your grandchildren, a little bit about kind of like, let's call it great grandkids, like you're never gonna see.
Yeah.
If you give them any piece of advice right now, right, of the life you have lived, what would that piece of advice be to your lineage, to your family, to your legacy?
That's a good question. Don't be afraid to be yourself. there's always going to be different situations and different people and different traumas and, you know, different blessings or just certain things that are going to just have you, that'll make you outside of yourself, or that'll want to force you to be outside of yourself, or make you want to be, you know, who they want you to be or what society wants you to be. And it's just, at the end of the day, don't be afraid to be yourself, because your confidence is going to get you a lot farther than anything else.
Love it.
Yeah.
And two more questions before we get out of this world. What's the dream? You know, what are you fighting for? What do you want out of life? What's the goal from what you have been through and where you're about to go?
Yeah.
You know, what do you want to accomplish? What do you want your legacy to be?
I want to make an impact. I mean, not only on the underground and the hip hop music scene, but for Pomona, and for myself, because there's a lot of things that I want to prove to myself now that, like, I have this not only this group of people around me, but like just a better focus on the dream and more motivation as far as wanting to get it done. You know, coming out of being in the pandemic, it was a lot because I had struggled with not, you know, there's no shows, there's nothing going on, there's no angles. It's just going to work every day and then coming home, and then so like coming out of that, it helped me become more focused on, like, you know, you got to make an impact on the community, not only for the hip hop scene, but for your city and where you come from. You got to leave a mark on that. So
yeah, it's almost like that's always forever going to be a part of who you are, you know. Yeah. You can't forget your roots in a way.
Yeah.
That's dope. You have to almost like get paid dues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's and like in establishing my own culture. So, and like like family traditions, carrying some of that into like and into my own, and like not only family, like my immediate family, but like people that I consider my tribe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to do more and leave an impact on people in a positive way, or in a way that like inspires them to make them want to go after what they want to do.
Mr. Jonnie Bars. That was I love your life story, man. It's really cool and inspiring to kind of see the transition of like where you are and where you're going. It's really, really cool. I'm really excited because I listened to some of your work, and I've been listening to it for almost a pretty long minute.
Yeah.
And you can see the change of the craft as it gets better over time.
Thank you.
So I'm really excited to see the community as they kind of get their hands on it and see what they think. And where can people find you? How can people kind of connect with you?
Yeah.
And you have any shows that people can join or, you know, kind of hop into?
I don't have any immediate shows right now, but you could always catch me at the Audio Dope. I believe it's every fourth Friday of the month. It's at Firewater Cantina, which is also where the Thought Fest is being thrown at. Shouts out to 60 East and Brick to Your Face and Jam Cam and, you know, Productive Culture, the nonprofit, for like being able to have a platform to be able to establish, you know, that Jonnie Bars, JONNIE Bars with an S, aka Jonnie Bars Bula, aka, you know, Jonnie Bart Simpson. I like to change my IG and Twitter handles. So you'll see.
That's dope.
But yeah, you can find me on all social media, all music platforms at Jonnie Bars. Yeah. If you follow me on IG, I have a link tree that you can click on to and catch all the content.
Yeah. We actually have a painting that's been donated by your boy Gio over here.
Yeah.
You have chosen my painting. What inspired you to choose this painting for this show?
Okay, so first of all, this is dope.
Thanks.
Yes. That's not amateur work, guys.
No,
definitely not.
It's
the trees. No. The trees are dope. The birds, if that's supposed to be birds, is dope.
Hey, see, I respect the hell
See?
out of that.
Let's go.
Hey, I respect the hell out of that.
But nah, it's just Shwavy. I had a song called 2019 called Shwavy. I wrote it at the beach, and along the Pacific Coast Highway, got like inspired by it, and it reminds me of that actually. So yeah.
Yo, it's crazy. Thanks, man. Well, shoot. Hopefully, it looked just like that. Hopefully not. Actually, never mind. Maybe
this is definitely like a paradise. You know what I mean? Not a whole lot of people. You're just driving through
an alternate dimension. Sure, yeah. We can call it whatever you like on Mars. We want to go into our last segment. This is the deep questions, and then I'll say the final question we ask everyone. But I'm excited to ask you. So
yes,
ready to hop into it? You need to take a sip of water before we get started?
Yes, let's take a sip of water.
Let's get it started. And to everyone, we want to take a moment to say thank you. We really appreciate you guys coming on and hopping with us tonight. And for anyone who's hopping on the show, just want to be able to kind of get to learn more about us. Yeah, man, connect with Jonnie. He's a really cool cat. And I think you could gain a lot of wisdom, especially from the life he have. And obviously, I think you'll be really interested in some of the work that he's done as well. So,
yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, always, man. So first question.
Yes.
Geez, Sarah's dropping bombs right now.
Oh no, okay. Sarah.
Sarah's chosen some like
shouts out to Sarah.
Insane stuff. Shout out to Sarah. What do you sense you take for granted, and why do you think you do?
Time. Because a part of me always feels like, and has been since like, you know, like just with the like having to get back the license and get yourself financially stable, I always have felt like I can make up the time. So yeah, it's definitely time.
Yo,
foolish of me.
Hey, it's all good. We all start somewhere. That's such an interesting thing. You don't understand how valuable time, but you also want to live outside the construct of it. It's a very interesting dynamic. You don't want to be trapped by it, but at the same time, so it's almost like a freeing thing to not be free of time, but it's also could be a damning thing if you don't honor it. You know, such a weird double-edged sword here.
It is.
What's the last thing you learned about yourself that surprised you?
That I am not as healed from situations and things the way that I thought I would. That I thought I was. You know, having to do the inner work and the shadow work. As well as the light work, and just being more aware of myself and what I needed to work on. I thought that, you know, you always feel like, oh yeah, you're at your highest, when you're at your highest level, your best version of yourself, you think that you got it, but that doesn't mean that you're fully healed or that you fully recovered from whatever it is that hurts you or whatever it is that's hurting you. So yeah.
Do you feel your greatest achievement is behind or ahead of you, and why?
It's always ahead, because no matter what, I'm the type of person that's like always gonna have a follow up. So like, to me, the best is yet to come, and like what I've done like before, that's nothing compared to like what's going on, what I'm building towards now. You know, what I'm building is always gonna be greater than what's being built, because I wanna raise that bar or meet, you know, exceed that standard and keep pushing it every time.
Last two.
Okay.
What do you think your mission in life is for you?
To inspire people or to influence people. Because I feel like, you know, when I was, and that's a double-edged sword too, because when I was doing the wrong thing, I was influencing people around me to be able to do that and being enabled by that. But like doing the right things, or doing what I feel like is right for me, and just like being able to, you know, express that to the world. Like, I've found that it brings a positive influence towards people to make them, you know, want to do what they want to do, or just like, you know, want to go out there and just like, it makes it influences people, and it gives them that energy, and I feel like that's what the music also kind of brings out too. So yeah.
And final question.
Yes.
If heaven was one moment to be relived over and over and over, what would your heaven be?
It would be thousands of people, you know what I mean, going crazy to words that I'm knowing as I'm like giving it my best and sweating and running out of breath, but still controlling myself to be able to rap, and just like, you know, family being there and friends being there, and just being overwhelmed by that moment.
And then the final question we ask everyone, which is kind of asked already, but I kind of think it would be a good question still to ask.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of the never ending.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole premise of the show.
Mm-hmm.
This is the story of the human experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of life. So what do you think is the meaning of life?
To find your purpose, to find what it is that drives you and what makes you get up in the morning to do what you want to do. Whether it's just like, you know, feeling like you have to work for a family, or just feeling like you have to go and seek your career. You know, everybody does have a purpose, and you finding yours is you're gonna find yourself in a better place than, you know, other people who are not. So, and that's just speaking from both sides. So yeah.
Any final comments you'd like to make, my friend?
No, B&E podcast, greatest podcast out here. You guys better, you know what I mean, do some research. But no, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you so much for sharing, my friend.
Yeah.
I think there's so much to gain. I think one of the things that I think most prominent that I really, really, really like about your story is how important it is to be supported.
Yeah.
Like, shout outs to your mom.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Huge shout outs to moms, man.
Yeah.
Because support is something that a lot of people don't get. And just that one instance of support through your life completely transformed your whole trajectory. You're now literally on stage at festivals. Like,
Yeah.
it's a big thing how one person can really help change the trajectory of someone's life.
Yeah.
And so, and what you did, you didn't waste it, you know, you used it. And so, to everyone out there, you know, be supportive of each other.
Yeah.
You never know who around you could use it,
Yeah.
and literally could make diamonds out of nothing, you know.
Yes.
Literally.
It could change a person's day, just a little bit of support. Like, I feel like that's very important, and like feeling supported, even if it's by one person.
Huge.
That's a person that you care about, you know what I mean? That's going to be the fuel that keep you going. So yeah.
To everyone, have peace, have love, have happiness,
Yes.
even after death. Okay, guys?
Yes.
Good night.